Well, hello there. Welcome back. We are going to take some time and talk about the Valiant helmet from LS2. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Get Out and Ride. So as you can see, we're doing something a little bit different this time because there's no motorcycle. I'm not out riding. But that's okay. Don't tell anybody. We're doing something a little different this time. So I mentioned on the last video on the wrap-up from Houston back up to Chicago that I'd gotten some questions from people both on the road and online about some of the equipment that I was using and just kind of looking for some opinions. So I mentioned that I would go ahead and do some product reviews on some of that stuff. And if there's anything in particular, if you've seen my previous videos, and if you haven't, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. But if you haven't seen the previous videos, go back and take a look at those. If there's anything in particular that you would like to see me review that you may have seen me use during that trip, let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to do that. All right, so without further ado, today we are talking about the Valiant helmet by LS2, a modular helmet. And really what kind of drove me towards a modular was when I got the 2018 Goldwing back in March. It's July now. I decided to change up some riding gear because, you know, a lot of people do that. You buy a new bike, you want to get some gear to go with it. All of my gear that I had before was fine, and for newer riders, if you have that concern, don't worry, your gear stretches you across multiple riding styles for the most part and different bikes, so you don't have to change your gear every time you change your bike. The gear that I had from my 2012 Striker that I recently sold works just fine. I could absolutely use it. As far as a full face helmet, I had a Shoei RF 1100, or I should say I still have it. It's still a good helmet and I can still use it. But I wanted something a little bit different to go with the Goldwing and kind of the riding style that I plan to have, doing some touring with that bike. So that had me looking at modular helmets. And so for those of you unfamiliar, a modular helmet basically means you can flip the chin bar up on what appears to be a full face. And the LS2 Valiant does that, and it goes a little bit further, which is exactly why it ended up coming home with me. And I can safely review this now. I've got about 4,500 miles riding with this helmet and everything from upper 30s to mid 90s in temperatures. So I've seen and done a lot with this helmet already, so I feel very comfortable talking about it. And so again, I said I was looking for a modular helmet, and this was sort of a unique one. There's really only one other helmet, anything similar to this, which is made by Shark. I think it's called the Shark Evo. I've never used it, haven't tried it, so I can't really compare it to that helmet. But I can compare it more to what full-face helmets, other full-face helmets like my Shoei RF 1100 can do. And this really is a lot more versatile than your standard full-face helmet, which is why I got it. So the first thing you kind of notice it's different is you've got a tab on the top for your face shield rather than on the bottom like most full-face helmets. So you can go ahead and pop the face shield up, and the modular part comes in the chin bar lifting up. So I can lift the chin bar, and most modular helmets, this is where the chin bar goes, and it kind of stays there, which that was one thing I had a little bit of a concern with when I was looking at other modulars, because I knew that I wanted something that could be very convertible, something that could give me a full face helmet or an open face helmet, depending what the temperature was or what the conditions were. And I was worried that with a conventional modular and you have the chin bar up here, it can catch a lot more drag if you don't have a high enough windshield set up to get that way over your head. And for a lot of riders, they've got the windshield set up that will let them do that, and it'll clear the chin bar when it's up, so they don't have to worry about that. In my case, I prefer a shorter windshield, and so it pretty much clears my head, but I wanted to not have to worry about having this chin bar up here all the time. So this helmet, the chin bar goes all the way back, and it kind of does a full 180. It doesn't positive lock, but through gravity, I can tell you, I've used it long enough, it stays right there when you fold it all the way back. Now you've got an open face helmet, and you've got a fold down sun shield, which can also provide you eye protection. And that sun shield is a little slide lever on the bottom here. Works out really good. It's gear driven, not cable driven like some helmets, but it does work really well. And the important thing about this helmet is it has dual certification, and that was the other thing that kind of had me interested. So it is certified as both a full face helmet with the chin bar locked down. It is also certified as an open face helmet with the chin bar swung back. And so then you can kind of decide what you need to fit your current ride. And so a lot of times when it's really warm, I can just keep the chin bar back and I'll just drop the sun shield and I'm good to go. And I can ride at highway speed like that and just keep the clear face shield up. And I've got eye protection, I'm very comfortable, I get tons of airflow. It's really great. As the temperature drops or if it gets darker, you can go ahead and flip up the sun shield and drop the face shield down. And if you need even more protection, you can swing the chin bar back, which you'll see it automatically pops up that clear face shield and it locks down. And then you're back to having a regular full face helmet. So that was really what kind of drew me to this. And so far, that whole design has worked out really well. I've been very happy with it. I haven't had any weird malfunctions or anything. It's done everything I've needed to do. It works in all the different configurations and stuff. I haven't found any quirks with it. So it's been working really well for me so far. And the one thing I like, if we flip the chin bar back, the connection points where that chin bar locks into are metal. So it's not just cheap plastic in there, it actually has metal connecting points when that chin bar locks back down. So it works out really well. For those of you that like to use comms of some sort, I've got a Cardo Pack Talk Bold JBL edition on here. We're not going to get into the specifics of that. We can talk about that in another review if anyone's interested. But I think the one word of warning I would give you, the Pack Talk Bold JBL edition has 45 millimeter speakers. And a standard Pack Talk Bold has 40 millimeter speakers. That could be a problem in some helmets. So this helmet does have cutout recesses in the foam for speakers, and they would accommodate the standard 40 millimeter speaker perfectly. They do not accommodate the 45 millimeter, which I don't really have that as a knock on the helmet because most helmets would not. Most helmets are sized for a 40 millimeter speaker, which typically up until now has really kind of been the largest in-helmet speaker. And so I found that when I installed this one, I had to trim a couple millimeters out of that recess so that that speaker would fit in properly. It wasn't a big deal. You can do it with an X-Acto knife or a razor blade or something. Just go carefully. It's a small little bit that has to come out and you'll get a perfect fit, not a problem. So just be aware of that. If you do have any interest in this helmet, and the Pack Talk Bold JBL, you would have to make that minor adjustment. Not really a big deal otherwise. So as far as sizing, this is an XL. There's two different shell sizes for this helmet. The first shell size covers extra small through extra large. And then the second shell size is 2X and 3X. I found that when I got the XL, it was really tight in the cheek. Maybe I just have a chubby face, I don't know. But when I would lock that chin bar down, it was just almost uncomfortably tight. And the rest of the helmet was okay, it fit great, but it was just too tight. So what I actually ended up doing was swapping out for a set of 2X chin pads. They're only like 15 bucks or something like that. So I've got an XL helmet with the 2X cheek pads in there. As far as the shell sizes, maybe that could be an issue if you wear a much smaller helmet, because obviously if you're looking at a small, extra small, you're wearing this, the extra large shell. So, if I had a critique, maybe this helmet should really come in 3 different shell sizes. But for me, since I'm right there at the XL, it really doesn't bother me, but other riders might be concerned about that, and so you might want to take a look at that. Weight-wise, 3.75 pounds. Not bad for modular. It's kind of right in the range with other high-end modular helmets, and this one comes in about the $300 price point. So I really can't complain about that. And as far as all-day comfort, it's been great. That was one of my concerns at first looking at modulars, because typically, because of all the mechanisms and everything, they tend to be a little bit heavier. And I was concerned that I wanted to do some all-day touring. And so you'd think at the end of a long day with a heavy helmet on, you could start to get neck pain or something. And so that I had some concerns about that. Has not shown up. I use this helmet every day on the Chicago to Houston turn, so over 2,400 miles. And I was doing some riding days that were, usually right around 10 hours maybe. Not straight riding for 10 hours. There were some short breaks in there where I would pop the helmet off while getting fuel and stuff like that. But no neck issues at all. So that was a great thing. So the 3.75 pounds is good. And again, your mileage may vary. Each rider is a little bit different. The 3.75 pound helmet might be an issue for some riders. It might give them a little bit of neck pain, but I can just say from my standpoint, I didn't experience that issue. It worked out really well. It wasn't an issue at the end of the day where I thought, oh, I've got to get rid of this helmet. Got to get this thing off. Gave me no problems at all. I stayed perfectly comfortable. And so again, with comfort, airflow, here, we'll flip this down. So with airflow, you've got several ports. You've got some ports up on the top to get air in. They're just open and closed. They're not adjustable in any way. So you've either got on or off. And same thing on the chin bar, you're either on or off. I've found even in the cooler weather, I tend to just leave the chin bar open the whole time, and that's good for me. It doesn't get too cold in there. The top ones, usually in the cooler weather, all open and close as needed. But you can definitely get the airflow. I would say, like when I'm moving at highway speeds, I can feel some air moving across the top of my head, so it's doing a good job. And as it comes in, it goes to these two exhaust ports back here. And so I haven't had any major issues. It doesn't have the most ventilation of a motorcycle helmet, like my Shoei RF 1100 does have more ports on it, and it moves quite a bit of air. It does a great job. But that being said, this one doesn't really seem lacking at all. I wasn't concerned. I was riding in mid 90-degree temperatures. My head was not sweating profusely. I felt okay. So I really don't have any complaints about the airflow through the helmet, especially because when it does get really warm, that's usually when I would flip that chin bar back and I would switch to an open face helmet and I would get tons of air and I was perfectly comfortable. So no real issues there. I always thought it looked kind of cool, which is why I went ahead and got this helmet. The only thing I'm not crazy about are all the chrome accents. And that's just because I'm not a chrome kind of guy. You know, if I had my way about it, I'd rather it just be either matching a matte surface or maybe just do it in black or a darker gray or something. But it doesn't bother me. It's fine. It shows some fingerprints once in a while. Not a big deal. It's just a personal style choice for me. Not a huge fan of the chrome. All right, so one other thing, I do have a GoPro mount on here. And if you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I do keep a GoPro mounted and it kind of sticks out a little bit. It's a GoPro Hero 7 Black. So in addition to that though, that's the same camera that I record my audio to. So I've also got the audio pack for the GoPro on there as well. So it's a bit of a heavy load sitting on the front. The one problem that arises from that is after wearing that setup for a significant amount of time, I can get a little bit of a hot spot on the top of my head simply because you've got all this weight out front pulling down on the helmet. And so I get that little bit of discomfort. I'm not going to knock the helmet for that. This helmet wasn't designed to carry a GoPro 7 strapped on the chin bar. Without the GoPro there, I don't have that issue at all, and it's very comfortable. So just be aware if you like to do any kind of recording of any type and you plan on getting a camera, obviously there's other points on the helmet you can keep it. I like the chin bar. I just like the way that view works out. So just be aware that if you are going to put it on there, after a long period of time, and I'm saying a long period of time, so not if you're just out for an hour or something, you're fine. But when I was wearing it all day and trying to record a bunch of video on that trip, I would eventually have to kind of nudge that helmet up a little bit and reset it, and I would be okay. It was just, over time, it would just sort of drag it down and kind of give me that hot spot. So you can get, it's doable. At no point did I think this is ridiculous, I need to find a new helmet or anything like that. I was comfortable with it. So, but just be aware that that could be an issue for you depending where you decide to mount a camera, if that's what you need to do. If you're not mounting a camera, don't even worry about it. You'll be fine. All right. So other than that, I've been happy with this helmet. I see no need to replace it at this point. As far as durability, I've only had it about 4 months, so I really can't say yet. I've put about almost 4,500 miles on with it. We'll give it a couple riding seasons and we'll see how well it fares. I mean, so far it's in the same condition it was when I started. So that's a good sign. The finish on it holds up pretty well. I haven't found any major issues with scratching or anything like that. The visor's been holding up pretty well. There's an anti-fog coating of some type on the inside of the visor. It's done a fairly decent job. In the cooler weather where you usually get some of the fogging, I would find if it did start to build up at all, it was really only when I had first put it on. Once I was riding, it was usually all right. And if I did start to notice anything, I would just pop it open into the city position and get a little extra air in there. After a couple seconds, it'd be clear. I can put it back down. So some people do ask about the city positions on some of the helmets. And this one does have a good positive lock. So it actually, that visor does stay pretty well in position at that point. So you don't have to worry about it dropping back down or flipping too far up. You can actually lock it with that cracked position open and get some extra air if you need to. But otherwise, it's been a really great helmet so far. It matches my 2018 Goldwing real well. It's been comfortable. It's been very functional. Another note real quick though, if you do use comms, because of the sunshade lever that's on the bottom here, if you use a clamp mount currently for whichever, doesn't matter if it's a Cardo, a Senna, they all have very similar mounting systems. You probably won't be able to use a clamp mount on this helmet. I ended up using the adhesive mount, which Cardo and Senna both have for their different various units. And that's worked out great. It's been on there tight through rain and all kinds of stuff, no major issues. And again, so not a major issue. Just be aware though, if you are mounting one of those on there, you might want to make sure that you're comfortable with using the adhesive mount, and you should be good to go. The wires still route fine. And then just remember again with the speaker size, if you're using the JBL edition, in another review, we'll get into what all that JBL edition means, but you'll have to adjust the speaker pockets a little bit. If you're using just about any other unit with like 40, usually more standard 40 millimeter speakers, no issues at all, you'll be fine. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for the LS2 Valiant helmet. Very happy with it. It's right around the $300 price point. I would definitely buy this helmet again if I had to. I've been really enjoying it. It fills a lot of different needs for me. So hopefully this review helped you. If it did, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. And if you have any questions or comments about this helmet, go ahead and leave those in the comment section below. And of course, before you go, if you're not yet a subscriber, go ahead and click that subscribe button and that little bell icon to make sure you're notified when the new videos post so you don't miss anything. Until then, be safe everybody, get out there and ride, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.